everybody, it's Ruby here today, and today I wanted to do a bookshelf tour. This is something that a lot of booktubers do, and I had wanted to do when I first started booktube, but because of the lighting, because I had been first starting out, and because it took way too long to do, I generally just didn't do it. I stopped like a half an hour into it and just gave up. But because I'm moving to another country in the next couple of months, and because I won't be able to bring a lot of books with me, I knew that I wouldn't really have a bookshelf to show you if I ever wanted to do this. So I thought that this would be a perfect opportunity to do it and to give myself yet more accountability, because there is an entire bookcase over here of to be read section. So I actually don't have one big bookcase. I have 6 bookcases that are smaller because of the way that my room is set up. I will just kind of do almost a office tour or like library tour of all of the books that I have organized, and I will focus on like certain bookcases and stuff like that. So if you have any questions or if I skipped over anything, I will definitely answer them in the comments, but I will also do an update before I leave if there are any major questions or if I skipped over anything specifically that you had wanted to know. So I thought I would just jump right in, because honestly, this is going to be really long. Off, I actually live in a house with my dad, so I have the upstairs, like a basically 2-level house, and so you will see here is the stairs and my legs, and then when you look up, you'll see my bedroom door, which is strategically closed. Almost fell there. And then you have sliding doors for one bookcase here, and then when you go into this hallway, you will see where I film. So you'll see the chair where I film and the tripod, and then a bookcase, stationery, and printer. And so then I will just go to each bookcase, and then I'll kind of generally talk about the room as well if you're interested. So this is really cool. This is like built into the house. And so these are books that I have already read and reviewed, except for a couple on the top here. This is actually my Kobo, there, and a procrastination book. I also have like ink blot game and some icon introducing books, which I think I would like to do a review on later, because these are really cool and really useful. So this is just sorted by size, which I really hate. I generally sort it by sorted by author, like alphabetical, but because of the way that this bookcase is, because it's a sloping ceiling, I couldn't actually do it that way anymore. So we just have a bunch of paperbacks, and generally these are books that survived the move when we moved to a different house. Books I wanted to keep that were impactful to me, or generally just really nerdy. So you actually see some interesting things. You have Towards a Psychology of Being by Abraham Maslow. You have One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest, which has seen better days. The Da Vinci Code, because honestly, I really like that. You have some Japanese miniature designs. And then you go to this shelf. This shelf is books that I haven't really sorted yet. Either I've read them or I bought them because I've read them. So Submission, which is a book that I read, I believe, when I went to Europe. It was about like political Islam and stuff. It was okay. So we have The Use of Pleasure, which is volume 2 of Foucault. When I reviewed Foucault, which I'll link down below, I actually used a library book, so I wanted to buy it. And then this is a book that I also bought. I've talked about this before. I bought it as an ebook for an ARC and loved it and fell in love with it. So we have Solaris and Philip Pullman, American Gods, and Suffragette. And then in the bottom here are just more paperbacks, Hunger Games, Bluest Eye, Monica Hughes, which was one of my favorite science fiction children's books. So on the other side we have Tamora Pierce. She is someone that was hugely influential to me for fantasy novels when I was a child, and Godchild from when I really liked manga. Oh, The Handmaid's Tale. This is a journal that I found in my university, Journal of Psycholinguistic Research. And this is literally just like how they used to publish research before it was all online. So I thought that was kind of cool. I have like a Dutch children's book over here, A Little Dog for Vera, Nostradamus, Quirk, The Overflowing Brain, that's about ADHD, The Compass of Pleasure, which is another popular science book, The Lotus Sutra, An Object of Beauty, which I just came across and I loved it. Really nice romance. And a couple of DK books, because as you will see as a trend later, I love those. And then some books that are just too big to sort of file anywhere. So a lot of like Before Watchmen, which I filed separately from my Alan Moore, so you'll be able to tell. I love these books. These books are amazing, have amazing art in them. I just absolutely love them. Okay, so we go from there and we go in here. So I have a printer, I have stationery. I love stationery and I use a lot of stationery because I will write out my notes quite often. Over here is a long form calendar, which I created myself, and it's basically a way of showing the weeks without showing the months so that you can kind of see everything at a glance. And I would do like one semester at a time, so I'd be able to see how many weeks for each thing. And that was like a recent thing. I did that in the last like year or two. And then with that, I have some Kiki K stationery stuff, which, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of cheesy, but I kind of still love it, and I embrace that. And a business card you can't read because it has personal information on it. So we have here, which is my TBR case. So if you have been a subscriber for a long time, you will be able to see my TBR jar, which is basically where you pull things out of the jar that you want to read. But I mean, I didn't end up really doing anything with it. I have over here, this is like, I think they're a gnome or elf from Iceland. Oh, that's really dusty. That my grandparents gave me, as well as some paper buildings that I got from Europe and a little meditation garden with Buddha. And then, so we have books over here. So Memoirs of a Geisha, Kiss of the Fur Queen. These sort of books are books that I had wanted to read recently. Like I started reading The Spire, but didn't really like it that much. This one is Canadian and also magical realism, so I knew I would like it, but I haven't gotten around to reading it yet because I have a whole bunch of other books. These are books that are based on size as well. This whole bookcase is based off of size because, again, just a space issue. So The Story of Philosophy, I've had that one for a while because I'm pretentious. And some Margaret Atwood. So down here, I have done hauls for a lot of this stuff, so I'm sure this will be pretty known. So I have some just general fiction, The Paris Wife, God of Small Things, and then I have Camus. I actually just read that. I should take that out. Middlesex, Princess Bride. A lot of these I do get from thrift stores. I don't just buy a whole bunch of them. As you can tell, they're pretty worn, and not just from me. And oh, we have here Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. That was also something that I was going to review a while ago, but didn't end up doing it because I'm a piece of shit. So if you want a review on the series or comparing it to this, then I will do that for you. So we have some Monty Python. This I got a while ago. I have Joss Whedon. That's pretty cool. I like that cover a lot. Opening Skinner's Box, Incognito. So these are all sort of my hardcovers. We have The Cuckoo's Calling. The Night Circus. I know a lot of people read this a while ago, and when I saw it in the thrift store, I just knew I had to buy it, even though obviously I haven't read it in a while. Here again, we have a lot of books that I've been meaning to read. So I started reading this one, The Selected Works of T.S. Pivot. And I don't know, for some reason just didn't continue with it because that's the story of my life. The Story of English. We have Alan Moore book, tabletop book. Shapes for Sounds. So how about the alphabet. Cracked book. Magical Realism. Some books about women. Young. I have 2 young books here. I just recently got this from my dad for Christmas. So everybody has been talking to me about this. So Jerusalem. So I will be reading that, but I need to, you know, read some other books too. I might actually just bring this with me abroad because it's big enough that it would be useful and I know I'll like it. So then we will go over here. So this is sort of like a library caddy. It rolls that my dad made a while ago, and recently he repainted it for me and gave it to me because I had all these books on the floor that I really just couldn't shelve anywhere, and so I really needed a place for them. So these are all books that I got secondhand. I think my dad bought a whole bunch of books from someone, and I just kind of went through them and saw which ones I liked. So they aren't particularly anything that I hold super dear to myself, but a lot of them I think would be great reference material. So Woman's Body, A Woman's Right, Birth Control in America. A lot of these are from the 90s. Beyond Shyness, Grammar and Gender. So I really like working with linguistics and generally how linguistics shapes how we think. So that is really cool. The History of the Wife, Medieval Women. Story of Psychology. I think there was actually like a class you could take at my university that was related to that, but for some reason I never took it. Intimate Matters, because sexuality. And then we have my agenda there. So at the bottom, again, just for space, we have books. We have Body of Art, which is something that I got from Europe and literally just had to try and like hope to God that it would fit in my suitcase because it is works of art relating to the body. We have Japanese prints from the Else Wheels collection, so that's part of the Rijksmuseum. I had to go really quickly through that part of the Rijksmuseum, so I just bought the books and like I need to just look at this. Magritte, Ideas and Images, so that's surrealism. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the Illustrated Guide because I love his illustrations. The From Hell Companion, Angel Catbird, and Body Language. And then we have here just the Fantastic Beasts Companion, which I already talked about. So over here we have a strand beast, which is like a little model of something that can go on the beach and is wind powered. So that's really cool. And just some like scented stuff that I haven't used, and a quote from my friend, which is life is sweeter when you have a best friend. And then here are sort of books that I've been meaning to read that are like super important to me, that has been lent to me or otherwise, but I haven't really started yet. So I think some of them are just like random books, but Duchamp, Body Language and Social Order, again about the body because that's sort of my research. Then we have The Deference Engine, which is cognitive science. The Master and Margarita, which was suggested to me in the comments. I have a bunch of Leonard Cohen because I was really sad by his death. He was a hugely influential artist to me. And then The Journals of Sylvia Plath, that was lent to me by a friend. I really like Sylvia Plath. And The Post-Human Data Guide, which I bought in Seattle. And then I have bookends. These are globes. And then I also have, as you can see, some owl bookends because people like to buy me owl things. And these are just my textbooks. I have turned around some of the textbooks that show what university I went to. I mean, you could probably figure it out. Some people have seen me in person. And I mean, Justin Purcell has tagged me in some of his videos. So it's not a surprise if people kind of know. But I'm not going to like show you exactly where, you know? So yeah. And then we have here, this is like an IKEA bookcase. And then I have this bookend. I think these are my favorite. A friend of mine got me these as well. These are Italian marble as far as I know. And he just got them from a thrift store in the city. And they're really heavy, so they're really good. And these are books that I knew that I would have to review or that I otherwise have been reading but kind of left off to the side. And they're a mixture right now. There's some books that I really should be putting in that slidey bookcase, but I haven't really done that yet. So some of these, like A is for Activist, I mean, that's a children's book. So yeah. Dada and Surrealism, that's a very short introduction. I love short introductions. Murakami, which I started but didn't finish. I got like that far into it and I'm really intimidated to go back. Okay, what we see when we read. So I did a lot of research regarding like mental imagery and reading. So I bought this, and it's actually by someone who I think does graphic images for books. A lot of these books I've already mentioned in books that I've read or currently reading in the summer, so I won't like list all of them. I'll also link that down below. And then over here we have the Rorschach texts because I just needed to put it somewhere. And then the Collector, Wednesday's Indigo Blue, and then these two at the bottom are really cool. What to Think About Machines That Think and This Idea Must Die, edited by John Brockman. And so he will basically recruit people who are intellectuals in their field, and you'll ask them to do really short, accessible pieces to people talking about either theories that are misconstrued in the media or AI. So this is really cool. So it kind of just like opens your eyes to different genres and stuff like that. But it's not really a book that you just read all the way through, which is why I had it here for the to be read. So then we have this one here. Oh, we also have right here, that's an air conditioner, which is too heavy to just lug up and downstairs. But because I live upstairs, the insulation isn't super great. So I just keep that there. So this bookcase here is actually a bookcase that my dad also made me when I was very young, but I still really love it. It's made out of old window panes and some basic wood. Let's move that there. So these are my favorite books. These are books that I wanted to display. So open this. So this is a series of unfortunate events. I've been watching the series. I watched the series, to be real, I watched the series in basically a day. And so I started reading the first book, but I had so many other books I didn't finish it. So these are the books. I actually sold these books a while ago when we were moving because they were so heavy, and then rebought them because they're just glorious. And Horseradish by Lemony Snicket, and then some small little leather journals that I didn't have the heart to write in. And then this is all my Alan Moore stuff. I have basically reviewed most of this, so this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. And then also some other graphic novels, Mouse, X-Men, talking about graphic novels, a little babushka that I intended to paint. There's a common theme here, isn't there? And an owl, another common theme. Whew. Okay, and then we have a whole bunch of Harry Potter books. Not all of them. I don't know where all of them went. And then, yeah, Philosopher's Stone. And some of, like, the psychology of Harry Potter, mapping the world of Harry Potter, a bunch of, like, reference books that came out sort of in the height of Harry Potter. And then, you know, some books about books, some experimental books, Lexicon, House of Leaves. Oh, and there's one of the Harry Potter books. And these are some of my favorite books ever. These are books that are really on the books that I absolutely love. So, Delusions of Gender, The Essentialist Feminist Guide to the Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, Sex at Dawn. These are books that I actually mentioned in books that I would recommend. And then we have some QI books, Elegance of the Hedgehog, Sophie's World, The Remains of the Day, so Ishiguro, also talked about him. Golden Compass. Somehow my other one isn't here. I don't know. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo books. Don't have the last one still. And I don't know where the first one is. Incomplete series. Okay, and then the bottom is some of my favorite reference books. So I have a lot of books that are coffee table books. I collect these. So we have The Society of Mind by Marvin Minsky. He is a very influential cognitive scientist who talked about how our understanding of artificial intelligence kind of should change a little bit. The philosophy book and the psychology book DK, again, I said that you would see that again. These are really cool because although I feel really childish having them, they show really cool infographics of particular genres that you might not need to read fully, or sometimes you'll read it and you won't understand it and then you go to this book and at least you can kind of parse apart what they're talking about. 30-Second Psychology. Then we have Mind, Body, World. This is a textbook that I got for cognitive science, which changed the kind of research I wanted to do. The Design of Everyday Things, which is like, it's cognitive science and design. Haven't read it yet though. The History of Reading. The Western Canon. Myth and Meaning by Levi Strauss. And Embodied Cognition, which is the kind of research that I'm doing. And then we'll have over here some magazines. I think that one of them is a psychology journal, and the rest are just, I think, magazines that I either thought that I would read or for some reason needed to keep. So that is everything. That is all of it. So then you have the table where I film things. We have a banker lamp, my phone, where I keep my camera, which is really ghetto, my tripod, a book stand, which I received from my grandfather, mirror, coffee, this little coaster, which I also got with a book bag. This is Jo Reads Books. I will link her Etsy store down below if she still has one. I told her that I would review it and then never did because, again, story of my life, and some little journal things. So that is everything. I hope you guys liked that. Like I said, comment if you have any questions or comments, I guess. Like, subscribe, do your thing, and I will talk to you in a different video.